Hello and welcome back to Ahead of the Game. It's Tux Sports Takes and Sports Pez Jez with you from bets.com.au, where we dish out some pure dribble in betting.
Wow. Speak for yourself. I've been killing it, brother.
You've been doing really well. I had a very bad weekend last weekend, but we do it. We love it. Writing about footy, both codes, writing about motorsports. You can also get heaps of A-League racing tips and previews, predictions over at
UFC.
best.com.au.
Got it all.
UFC.
Yeah, plenty of stuff.
Nice. It's been a while since I've been on here, Jez.
What, a week? No, 5 days maybe.
Easter got in the way.
Yeah, but it was nice. It was nice to have a bit of a break and just take in all of the sport. It was a crazy weekend of sport, the Easter weekend.
Where we
so many upsets. I don't know, like we just get right into it. Let's start with NRL.
NRL.
What happened? NRL.
Parramatta.
In the NRL.
Moses.
Parramatta. Mate, he's the savior. Moses is the new Jesus.
It's crazy. We spoke about this on a phone call. I don't know, it was yesterday or the day before. That, in my opinion, he is the most important player to any team in the league. There's no team that is worse without him and better with him than Parramatta and Moses.
Yeah, that's like, it's an interesting take, but when you take it in, you got to be pretty spot on. Like, say this year the Panthers have been sort of rubbish, and you think, okay, when they miss Cleary, but they've done well by covering him through origin and injury all the time.
Yeah,
like I don't know, Parramatta have struggled, but they've also struggled with Moses through patches as well. But I think we definitely saw on Easter Monday the impact that he can have. Like, we were discussing sort of those small, interesting stats that we like to base a lot of our betting predictions and stuff on. And it's like, you saw that they obviously won a little bit more territory because his kicking game, he had close to 500 meters in kicking, where I think Dylan Brown had 66. So he took that over straight away. And then it was them being able to take their chances inside 20. I think they were one of the top teams at actually getting tackles inside their opposition 20, but couldn't score. So, and then all of a sudden how many tries they put on? 6, 7 tries, and they had I think it was 22, 23 tackles inside 20. So, man, that's a pretty good strike rate as soon as Moses gets back. And I think it's going to take, who have they got this week? They're taking on...
No, they got the bye.
Oh, they've got the bye. But it's going to be interesting to see how teams defend. Obviously they've got a new roster, no Gutho, so you can pretty much throw all the tape that any team has had of the Parramatta attack out the window, and they can only look at that one game with Moses in it. But it's going to take a few weeks for teams to be able to catch on and work out what their new systems are in 2025. And that, like you said, one more win and they go from being 17th and could potentially go up into 9th, are only 2 points ahead. So that's all of a sudden, that bet of having them as the most losses in 2025 is wide open, because there's a lot of teams that are shit this year.
Yeah, no, exactly right. And we spoke about the odds for them to make the 8. I think one of the best odds, definitely the most value, because exactly like you say, I mean, their points differential isn't great. There's probably, I think it's the worst in the league, but
yeah.
But you see that just
minus
the difference of their competition points to the team that's 10th now that they have the bye this weekend. And they're right there. And if they can string a couple of wins together, I'm just going into the draw hub on the NRL website, which I love, this new hub, which lets you analyze the draw for each team. So they got the bye this week. Then it's the Sharks, the Dolphins, the Knights, and Manly. Now, they could potentially go 3-1 through that period.
3-1's a big call. Who do you think? What do you think they're going to beat?
they'll beat the Knights. The Dolphins,
Um,
they could definitely beat. And I
mm,
think they'll go 1-1 against the Sharks and the Sea Eagles.
yeah.
Like
Yeah, the
that's,
Sharks should take care of them. Manly, you just don't know what's happening. Their whole club's
and
like a
they're at
shambles.
home against Manly. So Manly
Mm.
away from home aren't
Yeah,
fantastic.
all of a sudden, they're in the 8 with the 2 points from the bye. Like with the 2 points from the bye this week, they'll can potentially jump the Roosters, jump the Panthers,
Yeah, if those
like
teams
straight
lose, yeah.
away. Yeah, yeah. And then get a few wins. Like they're not out of it. Like I wrote them off like completely, but man,
And it's a
Moses
big
is
call
hectic. Like
after one game to say it, all of a sudden they're back. Like
that's
their
what you do.
defense is
That's what
still
you do on
shit.
the internet. You make big calls. You make big bold statements. That's what it's all about. But yeah, like that was a crazy result last week. And then obviously the Dolphins, like you just threw them
Mm.
under the bus saying they're going to get beat by Para, but fuck, they've beaten the 2 grand finalists from last year. Obviously Penrith was in Penrith State, but to beat the Storm, like they also had a few injuries, but so did the Dolphins. Like there was no Marshall King and no
Mm.
Harry Grant, and you thought, okay, which team's going to be able to deal with that loss because they're two, incredibly important players. And Harry Grant's been a little bit more quiet, I think, statistically when you're looking at Supercoach and stuff like that. But it feels like he's been a little bit more of a leader and been like the stability through through the start of the season for Melbourne, and then he disappeared, and like they just fell apart. Like they had no ball. They couldn't get possession of the ball, and when they got it, they were just like dropping it. A little bit like that game against the Saints. It was just
Mm.
like just wasteful. But what's happened to the Dolphins attack? Like it was awful a few weeks ago. It was the worst attack in the comp. And then I don't know, Hammer comes alive. Like and Katoa's been good. Like he played extremely well. Like I
Yeah.
don't rate Katoa. I think I said at the start of the year that he was like, barely a first grade halfback, but I can definitely take that he's like proven me wrong absolutely over the last couple of weeks because he's just playing a more calculated game and he's getting his sort of the small kicks right. I think that's where he's sort of been let down and where the Dolphins have
Mm.
been let down. So like, yeah, I
But
don't
it's
know.
interesting.
Like you
Like
look at,
we've been speaking so much about the Storm, and like we spoke about them against the Warriors, and how that the stats matched up, and that you can see trends in this Melbourne team around their defense and how they structure their offense.
mm,
Which we look at these important statistics around run meters and line breaks, tackles in opposition 20, possession and territory, those kind of things. And it's like, well, how do they keep winning? Because
mm,
they're ninth in run meters,
mm,
they're ninth in possession, ninth in territory. Their
mm,
opposition stuff, 14th in tackles inside 20. So teams are getting up on them into their zones. Um, and then on the flip side, the Dolphins, they're sixth in possession, fourth in territory, eighth in tackles inside 20.
mm,
So, we've seen the first few weeks of the season that they weren't converting their chances into points, but they were getting there. And that was like, okay,
mm,
once Katoa and Hammer finally wake up, then they're going to put
mm.
a heap of points on because they can attack from their own half, and then they're getting into the opposition half and into opportunity or places where they have the opportunity to score.
Yeah, yeah. Like, and that's the thing. Like, they're doing the hard work and the grind and playing at the right end of the field, and now all of a sudden they've got this strike, like we were talking about Melbourne a few weeks ago, from anywhere on the field.
Mm,
So
mm,
it's like you're playing the majority of the game in the opposition half and putting pressure on them, making them work defensively, which is something that doesn't maybe get talked about enough because there's no real like I guess like how many tackles a team's making, but like you're draining them mentally, physically, playing defense, working out of their own end, and then they're tired and you're scoring from your own half, which also deflates. Like so,
mm,
they're a danger. Like Christian Wolf, like we said at the start of the year, like he won 3 Super League championships in a row. Like he knows what it takes. So it takes time to build your structures and get everybody on the same page. And who knows? Like they can be a threat, but then you're also not surprised if they just fell to shit. Like
Yeah, exactly.
a couple of injuries
Fade.
like they get every year, and then they just fade away. So, but a big fuck you to Wayne Bennett if they make the 8, huh?
Yeah.
In Christian
Yeah.
Woolf's first year.
Yeah.
Massive.
A couple of quick ones. Bulldogs 32-0 over the Rabbitohs. Like they're contenders. My tip
Yeah.
of them not making the 8, that's done and dusted. They are an
Yeah.
extremely good team.
Yeah.
Do you want to unpack anything there, or the
No, just all
Knights?
the stuff we've talked about, man. Like it's just they play in their opposition's half.
Yeah.
And that's how they win. Like I've tipped them to obviously get up over Brisbane this week and go 7-0, purely just because of that. Brisbane players can do the work, but the Bulldogs just wear you down. It's the Penrith formula. It's Serraldo.
Yeah, there's so much going on this year where you can't predict. Dragons are up in 7th. They beat Manly. The Knights still struggling to score points. Panthers up and down. It's an exciting time in the NRL with so much unpredictability.
Because it is, but like you look at the ladder, like compare the ladder to sort of what we thought how things would go. I don't think like Raiders in 3rd, you never would have picked that, but they've had a bit of an easy run with the schedule, so I think you can expect them to fade a little bit. But teams aren't Dragons. Should have never have been there. We thought the Bunnies would be there or thereabouts, but they've looked awful. Like they certainly didn't look good against Canterbury. They were never a threat.
No.
Like there's a lot of teams. Manly we thought would be better, but they're having turmoil. Like there's just so much going on, and we're not even at Magic Round yet. Like,
Yeah. I
so
love it.
it's good, man. It's been exciting. Good start to the NRL season. Same with the
Over,
AFL. Like
yeah.
yeah.
And like that's we went through and kind of looked at the results compared to our predictive modeling and how the upsets that we saw, whether we could have taken the other side. Like, and one of the biggest ones for us was for me, the Melbourne and Freo game. Melbourne yet to win a game. I backed them in last weekend or the weekend before, sorry, against who they play in round 5. Essendon. And they just were rat shit. I was like, okay, well they're done. They're not. They can't do anything.
I haven't heard rat shit in a long time.
And then they come out against Freo, who are supposed to be one of the better defensive teams in the league, and just run all over them. And it's like, man, like, and the model said, go Melbourne. Melbourne going to win. And I was like, nah, that can't be true. Can't be true.
No. But it is. It's fun. Like when I do that too. When you're sort of tipping and you get burnt by a team, it's hard to. Like you dip back into the pot maybe one time, and then you're just like, no, fuck you, I'm tipping against you, and always, like even if everything points the other way, you're like, I can't do it again, and then they cane you on the other end, like.
And then you go tip Melbourne this week against Richmond. They're going to get done by 50.
Yeah. That's going to be an interesting game, Richmond. Like, what the fuck happened against the Gold Coast, man? Like, Suns have looked incredible. And they just got outplayed. They got outplayed. They like dropping handballs. Be interesting to go in and have a look at like their disposal efficiency and stuff like that. But like Richmond, it felt watching the game that Richmond just played the Gold Coast game against the Gold Coast, and the Suns just had nothing. They couldn't do anything about it. Richmond were getting a free man and getting a free path and finding their guys where. The Gold Coast just couldn't find anyone inside 50, couldn't move the ball as slick as they were doing. But, everybody has an off game. Suns are still have a good trajectory. They're still 3rd, but it's like this ladder is crazy as well when you look at, okay, how did you predict the year to finish? You would never have said Collingwood were going to be on top. Like Brisbane, yes. Suns, no. Crows, I think we expected them to be a bit better this year than what they were last year, but
like definitely that. If coming in as being healthy, you definitely would have expected them to be better. But sitting like essentially the equal second, fifth on the ladder, but equal second. Never would have picked that. Hawthorn and Geelong, yeah, they're there or thereabouts. The Giants as well, but having Carlton down in 13th with 2 wins,
Swans
the
14th.
Yeah, Melbourne.
Freo were tipped, like everybody was tipping Freo top 4, like any expert like us. But but and they've been like Freo have just been so inconsistent. Yeah, you never would have thought Melbourne still have enough class, like class individuals. If you think like Petrarca, Gawn, and Oliver, you shouldn't be second last with those 3 guys in your team, like no matter who you're playing with. So,
and it's just you see the gameplay, the way they played against Freo. If they play like that in any of those other games, they're winning by a margin. And it's just like, why haven't they been able to put it together?
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, has it finally clicked now again, or are they going to go on a six game win streak? Or
no, I think like this has been Melbourne over the last few years. It feels like that they can beat anybody in the comp, but they just don't have the consistency to do it week in and week out. And I don't know, you always sort of throw it onto their off-field dramas and stuff like that, but something, there's nothing going on there at the moment. Like they should just be playing footy and winning games, but they just don't do it. Like it'd just be so typical if they lost this like to Richmond. But like Richmond, you can't tell either. The games that they've won, they've looked really impressive.
Yeah.
Like,
but I think like with both of Richmond's wins,
they'll get dusted by 100.
You look at how did the opposition play in those games, and it's like, okay, well, Carlton weren't great in round 1, and Gold Coast, we know, like they
kicked 9-15. Gold Coast kicked 9-15. Like,
so but Richmond have been there in most of their games. Like the first half, they've been quite good, and they've kept it with opposition. They've been on the ball. They've been getting inside 50. Making tackles. So they're like strong at shutting down the opposition midfield. I remember the game against Freo, but then they fade away in the second half. They just can't keep the run in their legs, and they can't bring back the deficit that maybe is put on them early in the third quarter, and they come out a little bit unprepared. But if the teams aren't getting out on them, like we've seen with the Suns, Richmond led from start to finish, and it's like, okay, well, if they're in that position.
What was it? Looks like 44 points or something at the third quarter break.
Yeah.
So they still faded, but
yeah.
But if you get out to 45-point lead, you shouldn't lose those games.
No. Were there any other results from last weekend in the AFL that you thought were interesting from a
from an upset side of things? I don't think so, but one of the best games of footy I've ever watched was the Geelong Cats Hawks on Monday. That was a ripper. That was an absolute ripper of a game. It felt like the Cats were in control, the Hawks come back, and it was just hung in the balance until the final, couple of minutes. So, and you always felt like it just was going to take like one, even what they won by 7, like it, was going to just take one kick and the Hawks were going to be back and could snatch the game. So, like, it was awesome. Those two teams, like, it was so physical at the start of the fourth quarter. You're just like, how, like, they've got to, AFL players got to be the best athletes in the world. Like, like hands down. I like, who is better, like, fitness-wise and toughness? Like,
strength,
warriors. Yeah.
And then skill on top of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, and then, and composure. Like easy, anyone can kick from straight in front. Yeah, do that in front of 90,000 people at the MCG with the game on the line. Like, and guys are doing this stuff. And it's like old boys as well, you're 35 and still killing it. Like Pat Dangerfield, like what a gun, man. Like he's hectic. Like they're just incredible. Like you can get we love rugby, like born and bred on on rugby league. But like AFL players, man, they're so impressive to be able to go in hard and fearless and smash into each other in the fourth quarter when the game's already been going for 3 hours. Like it's incredible to watch.
It is. It's unbelievable. And
man crush. Got a man crush.
Yeah, I don't really know. I feel a bit uncomfortable.
Footy boys in their footy shorts. Jesus.
All right, let's quickly touch on the American sports. NHL and NBA finals or playoffs have started. I think some good upsets in the NBA already. The Timberwolves winning game 1 against the Lakers on the Lakers court. It was massive. Anthony Edwards had a massive game and kind of really put it to Luka and LeBron. Obviously, they hit back. The series is 1-1 now. The Pistons getting their first playoff win for 25 years or something. Massive
Detroit,
for them.
baby.
And also in Madison Square Garden, which is big for Detroit. The Grizz, they're struggling. They're going to be out, probably a sweep in the first round. The Pacers 2-0 against the Bucks, but they had home court advantage. And of course, the mighty LA Clippers taking a game on the road against the Nuggets. I think they might send the Nuggets home in this first round, man. It's exciting. How's the NHL been going?
Yeah, man, it's been pretty predictable, I feel. New Jersey against Carolina. Carolina lead 2-0 in that series. New Jersey have just been they were one of the top 3 favorites at the start of the year, but they have a consistency problem as well. And I think they've still got a lot of young guys that haven't played enough playoff hockey to do good. So I'm not surprised there. Toronto over Ottawa. Toronto could be on a big chance for a big run here. It feels like they've really set up for a proper playoff run again. But you say that always with Toronto. They lead 2-0. Florida's up 1-0 over Tampa. Vegas, Minnesota's real exciting series. And I think anyone can come out of that. Like Vegas could win again. Like I think they have the depth to do it and the goaltending. I think when you come into this part of the year and you're playing so many games and so many series are going the distance, you've got to have 2 really good goaltenders often. Someone that can at least come in and steal your win if your backup's got to play. And they have that.
Do you think that the 5-2 game today at home, is that something that will affect their kind of confidence heading onto the road now?
No, I think they play really good on the road, Vegas. There was patches in the season where they were losing at home and just winning away. So I think it's important when you're in those situations though that you've got to get game 3 on the road. I think you put yourself in a really, really tough spot if you go down 2-1 and then and they get that first dominant win at home, especially if it's by a couple of goals. But I that series can very easily go to 7, and then it's just whoever wins on the night. Montreal, Washington. It's crazy. I saw a cool stat. Everything we've always been talking about Ovechkin a lot. Obviously, he'd never scored an overtime winner in the playoffs before until that game, until their game 1. So, still ticking boxes, old Ovechkin, and the season's all over. So
mental.
That's awesome. Dallas, Colorado go the distance. It's 1-1. That's just like rolling dice. And the winner of that can very well easily win the Stanley Cup. I think I would, if I had to pick this early, I would say the winner of that series wins this year. But Florida's fucking stacked, man. They cashed up after winning the cup, and then they went out and bought a whole heap of players, so they're going to be a hard beat. And then Lakers Edmonton. Edmonton, man, I don't know. They've been the favourites all year. We've been updating odds and stuff on bets.com and .au. And and they were leaders the whole year, and they had a slump and dropped out of being the favourite. And the Kings could beat them. The Kings are unbeatable at home. They're brutal. They're brutal at home. I wonder what their what they finished up on, but it's like through the season, I think they lost like 3 games with, I don't know, maybe a month left of the year. They'd lost 3 games outright at home, like head to head. They had a couple of overtime losses, but they push every game to the distance. So they're tough. They got home ice advantage, and all of a sudden Edmonton's out again. Right.
Mental. Just quickly before we finish, Formula One, Oscar Piastri leading the World Championship. Another Aussie on top. How good for the what did we call him when we spoke on the phone the other day? The psychopath, or
yeah, very, very easily. There's the meme of all the emotions of Oscar Piastri, and it's just like
the same photo.
Happy, sad, angry, irritated. And he's just blank, but he's got that mental toughness. First time an Australian has been leading the World Championship in 15 years or something, I think it was.
Wow.
So it's huge, but he's just like got that mental strength where he don't give a fuck. A little bit like Max Verstappen at the start. Like, he just doesn't care. He's just in the zone, no emotion, monotone, here to win, which is what you need in Formula One. Like, he's 20, 23, 24 maybe, and you're leading the Formula One, the best racing car championship in the world, and you just took over the world championship. And it's just like, great, guys. Good job. Really, really, really happy with this win. You're like, come on, man. Like, show something.
Yeah.
Awesome. It's cool. It's going to be cool to see. The Formula One season's also been awesome to start with.
Yeah.
Don't know how it's going to end.
So much more excitement in the racing, even if like we've had a bit of a whinge about it, some of the races, but the overall spectacle of it is still, there's still some sort of energy, like compared to just a couple of years ago when, you know, Max is winning by 15 seconds every single race, or even before that with Hamilton just completely in the Mercedes, completely dominating the field. There's stuff happening in the races and the strategies, and now Monaco going to be a 2-stopper confirmed, so a bit more excitement there possibly. I think the FIA and Formula One are like, okay, we need to try and reinvent this stuff before people fall away, because there's no overtaking on a lot of these courses.
Maybe they should just pour like water or something at the top of the hill and let it run down just sporadically, and not tell anybody when it's happening or something like that. Shit happens. But before we move off from Formula One or go, have you seen the new track they're building in Saudi Arabia?
No.
You haven't seen any of that, man? It's gonna be that the start of the race is going to be 20 stories high.
What?
Yeah. The opening corner is 20 stories high.
Wow.
It's going to be ready 2027.
Rainbow Road, like Mario Kart.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
man. Like, yeah. So maybe throwing the water down the top of Monaco isn't too far off if they're starting to build shit like this. Right.
All right. I'm going to have to... Oh, shit. Wow. Imagine they fucking crash on that corner and Max goes flying over the edge.
Yeah. Keep your seatbelt on.
Holy moly.
Insane. 400, what is it here? 480 million Rainbow Road Qiddiya track.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
Well, exciting to see how these
2027
dudes over there
in Saudi.
Just doing anything
too much money.
with the money.
Can't they just give us some money? Like,
sponsor ahead of the game.
Yeah. We'll do it 20 stories high. Hang us fucking... Don't let's not get into that. Yeah, just hang me from 20 stories high, however you want me.
From the dick.
Yeah.
With your foreskin.
Yeah, exactly. Mate, that'll stretch. I'll end up on ground floor. Don't you worry. Just cut it off and parachute down.
All right.
Yeah. Anyway,
thanks for today.
enough of that. All right, see you, mate. Hang with us and stay ahead of the game.